I've invested in over 25 startups. Some have been great, and some have actually lost me quite a bit of money. Today, I'm going to share some of the startups that I've invested in and some that have failed along the way, and some lessons that I've learned across the entire journey. A lot of times people talk about making money and hitting the big time jackpots. And if you just do this little bit of money here, you can make billions of dollars. Well, I'm not here today to tell you that. Do I believe in angel investing? Do I believe that an investment in an early stage startup has the potential to explode and produce a really handsome return? Yeah, I do believe that. And that's why I've pushed all in my family's resources, our money, and I've gone really deep into this space. But one of the things people don't often talk about is the ones that don't work out, the losses, I guess you have to say. So today I want to share a story of an investment that I jumped in, how much I lost, and help you understand why it failed and what I would do differently. I'm also going to share the sectors that I love the most and those that scare me to death. It was a company back in 2020, and it was an early stage startup company. They were gaining a lot of traction. Their service was basically online AI meeting notes. You know, Zoom shows up, you have another bot that shows up with you, it takes notes. It was a really great technology. And obviously, we were all at home, COVID's happening, there's a lot happening in the world. Well, all of a sudden, this software and this technology that they had looked like it was right place, right time, and it was going to explode. We invested around $25,000 myself and a couple other investor buddies of mine, and it looked good. It looked promising. The team smart, they had great technology, and it was like, man, if they could win this race, then we knew that this could be a really huge return for us and for everybody else who invested alongside of us. The thing that happened was they never got traction. Actually, one of the reasons why I think they failed, and to this day, the company is not completely closed, but they're not making any money, and they're definitely on a death spiral and probably at the last step before the thing absolutely completely shuts down. Why do I think it failed? Well, there's a couple reasons I think it failed. I think they were in an arms race. A lot of times, like right now, you see a lot happening with artificial intelligence, and there's a lot of different companies trying to do this or that. And if you have like 4 or 5 or 6 companies kind of racing to try and get that top spot, generally speaking, there's 1 or 2 spots available in a new market or a new niche like that. And if you don't have the ability to scale, more than likely you're not going to make it. I think they were in an arms race and they weren't able to pull it off, find the market, get the sales, gain the early traction. And that was the piece that kept putting them behind, because as the competitors continue to move forward and continue to grow, they just fell more and more behind. One of the other big pieces that I would say is we failed to see one thing. We were doing our due diligence and looking at this company. They had great people, but they were technical founders. So what does that mean? In any good startup, that when you go and you research, you look at what they're doing, you want to find someone that has the technical skills, especially if there's a software or technology. You want to have someone in-house, a co-founder, who really understands the tech and knows how to get in there, code, figure out the problems when they're broken, and ultimately go and do the fixing, or at least help understand how to communicate with the team if the software and the tech's not working. Now, that's great. It's great to have one of those, especially if you have a software company. But what you also need is probably a non-technical co-founder, somebody who has the ability to go out and make sales, communicate your vision, go sit in front of boards, have high ticket, high stakes conversations where they can close deals and get it over the finish line. But they really didn't have that. The team was not built for that. Now, they thought they did, but they had misunderstood the strengths of the people that made up the co-founding team. And ultimately, they were super strong on tech, but really, really small on vision and the ability to scale and grow their company. Anytime I look at a founder or a team that I'm looking to invest in, that is definitely one of the questions I want to ask. Who is the technical person, especially if it's a software, right? I want to make sure and know that they have that, and that's important, and they can scale. The biggest one is making sure you have someone in the leadership team that has the ability to take the company to the next level and give them what they need to gain traction, to get sales, cast vision, and bring the right team around them to implement, engage in a strategy that's going to work for the long term. So that was one of the biggest mistakes we made when investing in that early stage startup. So I get asked all the time, what are the sectors sectors or the industries that you like and what are the ones that you don't like. You know, what's interesting through the year, there's been some that I'm like, I'd never invest in that. I'd never invest in that. I'd never invest in that. Over time, things change, industry change. Now, I'm never going to be an NFT guy, but I will tell you, at one point, I was so far out on the virtual reality world. You know, I'm not buying land in the metaverse or whatever, but I've actually invested in two companies that are focused primarily in the world of virtual reality, VR or augmented reality. So I once was a hard no, but now I've actually put my money into two of these companies. Another sector that I probably wouldn't invest in is like a professional athlete, right? Like you can own a piece of that athlete, and as they make money, you get a piece of it. It's a little too cloudy. Doesn't feel good to me. I don't think that's the way to go. The one area that I probably would never ever invest in is cannabis. You may be rolling your eyes or going like, oh man, what are you talking about? Cannabis is going to be huge. One of the main reasons that I would never invest in cannabis is not necessarily because of the legal ramifications. Look, if the sides they want to make it legal, that's great. But for me, that's probably the biggest hurdle of all, because sometimes what happens is you're dependent on legislation of some government entity, be it a state or even a national government. Sometimes those laws are just not going to line up. People say it's coming, here we go, and you're investing. Nobody really knows what's happening. Legislation can be tough there. So that's the way I sit. But like I said, I don't know if I'll never do that, but I can say that right now for me, that's a sector that I don't see as something that I'm excited about, that has too many red flags for me. With one stroke of a pen, it could all be shut down. It's a little too risky for me and not something I'm willing to take such a big bet on. But for me right now, the sector that I would say, nah, I'm all the way out on is cannabis. Kind of take it the other direction. Look, I am so excited about the world of early stage startup investing. There are a world of people who've never stepped into this, who don't even actually know that you can invest in early stage startup. This legislation opened back in 2016 with something called the Jobs Act. And so I talked to a lot of people, like my kids' basketball games, that just have no clue that this is even a reality. For me, as people ask me all the time, what is an industry or a sector that you see so much potential in? And I'd say right now, there's a couple that I think I'm really excited about and that I'm actually putting my money into. One of those, of course, is artificial intelligence. I think we're sitting at the beginning of a time period that we will all look back. Like, I remember when I was a kid and phones were on the wall and cell phones weren't a thing yet. It has evolved. If everybody really truly knew what was coming, they would be sitting and investing in Apple and really the early days of getting ready for where we're at on the smartphone technology boom. For artificial intelligence, I think that is right where we are right now. We are just at the tip of the iceberg of what is coming, and I believe in it. I'm excited about it. When I look up, I think artificial intelligence is going to make our lives easier. I think it's going to make it more efficient. I think it's going to make us more educated. If you can leverage it properly for your businesses, for your family, for your future, I think there's some really, really exciting things there. They have kind of the highest growth trajectory of any company that I've invested in across the 25 sectors. So again, ultimately, you need to know what sector is best for you. But for me personally, I love artificial intelligence. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's a sector that you get excited about? What do you like? Do you like investing in alcohol brands? Do you like investing in software companies? Do you like investing in financial services? Or what's a sector for you that you get really excited about when it comes to investing? And what do you think is on the horizon in the future? All right, well, there you have it, guys. A startup that I invested in that failed. Hopefully some lessons that you can learn from me there. And ultimately, the sector that I'm not excited about and one that I'm very excited about. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Look, if you're new to the crowd, we'd love for you to join us. We have a free newsletter that goes out every single week where I share the top 3 companies that I'm looking at right now. Companies that you can actually invest in. We're calling it Chris's watch list. Every single week, we send that out to all of our subscribers. It's completely and totally free, and we would love for you to join us there. So click the link down in the description, and we will catch you in the next video.